I am absolutely excited to be here with you guys on another Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. It is a weekly event in which I get the opportunity to be with everyone today and answer your questions live. As a quick reminder, we are using live stream. I'd love to see your comments, and more specifically, I'd love to see where you guys are from, but you got to give permission to live stream in order for me to know who you are. So somebody just commented freedom. I'm down for freedom, but it says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are. So you got to go back to the post and give Yardstream and Facebook permission to kind of communicate with each other. By way of introduction, my name is Dan Diaz. I was born in Mexico City, raised in San Antonio, Texas. I began my real estate investing career in November of 2015. I knew nothing about real estate at the time, except that I consider myself a problem solver, a solution seeker, and maybe a little bit of a deal maker. I realized that there was an opportunity here, and my first deal, I love talking about it because it was a great deal. We went ahead and bought it subject to the existing financing. Some of you guys may know what that is. Wrapped it, sold it owner financing, generated me a little over $80,000 upfront profit, and still generates $400 a month. I was absolutely hooked, guys. Now I mostly raise private capital to fund owner finance transactions. I do teach seller financing as an acquisitions tool, and yes, we still close as much single family homes, lot, small commercial assets that we can get our grubby little hands on for sure. Personal level, I am not a guru. I am not an end-all, know-all, be-all. I consider myself an eternal owner finance fanatic student, but I do love sharing what has been successful for us. Personally, I love a good dry red wine, a stiff scotch, a cold beer, good company, international travel. I love and I miss our international travel. My wife and I, we got to spend some time in South Africa right before COVID, and man, it was great. No kids. We got a red heeler for a pet, and we recently purchased an RV, which is pretty cool. We're going to start traveling the country and maybe do some of these live streams from other parts of the country. It's a pretty cool little RV. Why was this group created? This group was created because I believe as the financial markets change, our survival will depend on our ability to swim these tumultuous and uncertain seas. Moving forward, I believe that acquiring properties with seller financing will be paramount to growing our portfolio and yours. What can you expect to get out of the group? Well, I've made a personal commitment to use this platform to share our experience, our tools, and our skills to help you sharpen your own creative finance teeth and allow you to devour every opportunity out there. And yeah, buy as much as you can get your grubby little hands on. What I've done is I put together several owner finance investors. These are people that I consider friends many times, people that I've done business with, people that I know are the real deal. So whenever they chime in, guys, in the comments or the post, by all means, pay attention to them. Listen to what they have to say. I see there's a few more people. I want to know where you guys are at. So give permission to StreamYard and Facebook to show who you are. And I want to know what city and state you guys are from. So definitely include that in the comments section. And if you guys see value in what you guys are seeing today, please, guys, my goal is to get this group to 10,000 members. I can't do it on my own. Like and share. I don't know how the Facebook algorithm works, but I know it's important to like and share and comment and do all that good stuff. So if you guys see value in this, I would definitely appreciate it. Some of the people that are part of the groups that are seasoned owner finance investors, I always want to give recognition to them because, again, if you see their names, if they comment, I want you guys to kind of listen. We got Edgar from McAllen. We got Facebook user from Lubbock, Tejas. And my good buddy Sohail. Good to see you guys. Good to have you on board. These people are Haroldo Villarreal, Charles Hernandez, Zach Coppinger, Ricardo Rosales, Aaron Sams, RJ Bates III, Robert Ibarra, Dan Satowski, Justin Flowers, Jeff Falali, Manuel Cerillo Jr., Ryan Nickel, Srigan, and Ray Pantak. Now, these are individuals that I personally know. So if they say something in the group, hey, Edinburgh, Texas, Facebook user, good to have you. I need to know who you guys are. You need to give permission to StreamYard to let me know who you guys are. Definitely pay attention. What do I expect from you guys? In a nutshell, I expect you guys to be sharks. Now, this isn't just a name I throw out there. It's an acronym for me. It's something that I live by, and I expect you guys to live by as well. Chavel says hello. Miss Nandes from Austin, good to have you. Sharks is someone who S, succeeds mercilessly. H, hates mediocrity. A, accepts no excuses. R, resolves to be action taker. K, kills their bad habits. And S, shares what they learn here. So this is what a shark means to me. Now, speaking of sharks, I do want to give a big welcome to somebody that I personally look up to, that I see somebody as very active, not locally in Texas. He's actually, well, I'll let you guys learn a little bit about him. But we've got with us a real good friend of mine. His name is Ryan Nichols. And by way of introduction, I caught you off guard tonight, buddy. By way of introduction,
I'm all doing my hair. My people are looking at me. It says you're live. People are watching. Oh man, I do my hair.
Oh man. Proud father, 5 young, beautiful children. He's a creative real estate investor living in Northern California. 3-time best-selling Amazon author and founder of Bootstrap REI. So without further ado, Mr. Ryan, tell the world and our group a little bit about you.
Awesome, man. It's my pleasure. I thought I was going to learn from you again this whole thing, man.
No.
You're a person I look up to. You know, I didn't realize how much alike we were. I mean, we travel a lot too, except I got 5 kids. I think that's the only difference. And honestly, I thought I was going to be late to this because we were looking at an RV as well, and I was just jamming down the freeway to get back to my office. So yeah, we're definitely like to travel a lot. So, you know, a little bit about me. I got into this business in 2014 after being laid off. I got laid off by a company that I was helping do a startup with. And what do you do when you're laid off and you got 3 kids? You know, I did the best I knew how to do, living in the area that I lived, which was not very conducive for me to go find a job. I got on food stamps. Man, I struggled my life. I was just like, man, what am I going to do? And I had a buddy reach out to me in Georgia, and he said, hey, I see the struggles your family is going through. Why don't you leave California, come to Georgia, and I'll teach you how to do this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And it wasn't that I didn't know I could do that. It's just I didn't believe in myself. Like internally, I'm like, I don't think I have what it takes to do this, man. And I mean, I think we all go through that. But I literally kissed my wife and kids goodbye, drove cross country, slept in the back of his office. He had like a little like corner office or like a little like storage closet in the back. Slept on the floor for 2 months. Figured out how to do this creative financing deal, and with no money and no credit, got my first check for $20,000. Called my wife in tears. I'm like, baby, pack your bags. We're moving to Georgia. And that's how I got started. And it was the most intimidating, but yet thrilling opportunity that I've ever had in my life. And getting fired was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
So that's a super interesting story. One of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, that I kind of extracted from it is you are not afraid to take massive, even if imperfect action. Is that about right?
You know, sometimes we have to lean on others and their belief in you in order to make something happen. And that's what I did. So I had that friend that called me out to Georgia. I put all of my trust in that person. I leaned on him. I leaned on his credibility. I leaned on his experience. I leaned on his, knowledge. And I think in this business, we all need that. And I think that's what you're trying to do with this group here, is to leverage that success for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's become, it's super interesting because I think it was due to COVID that we were not able to have networking events, and a lot of people reached out to me. And it's funny because when I would talk to them about buying property, buying real estate, like real estate,
yeah,
with none of their money, none of their credit, they're like, oh yeah, that's wholesaling. I already know about that. And my response is like, so when did you buy it? Like, not knocking on wholesalers. There's
Right.
money to be made there, but when did you actually buy that property, even if it was for one day? And that would kind of get their juices flowing. They're
Yeah,
like,
they didn't even double close it, right?
yeah, and they're like, well, I mean, I don't have the money, or I've heard of hard money, but it's super expensive, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, do you realize that you can negotiate the seller to finance the purchase for you? No, that'll never work. I'm like, well, it did last week for us.
Right.
I mean, last month we closed on 2 deals, 0 money down. Month before, we closed on one where the seller paid us.
That was my second deal. I had no idea. My mentor was like, ask him to pay you $8,600. And I'm like, what? They won't do that. And again, what happens is we project our own insufficiencies onto the situation. I used to work for a jeweler, and he's like, people were coming in here and they're like asking for like $10,000, $15,000 rings. And I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And he's like, I'm looking at your face and you're scaring them off. He's like, you got to stop projecting your own insecurity onto the situation. And when you realize that, you just stop being needy and just go after the opportunities that are all around you.
Yeah. I had a student purchase the 10-hour owner finance training. Mm-hmm. By the way, total plug, I think it's a steal. It's $300. It's 10 hours.
I don't know what's in it, but I'll buy it, dude. It sounds like it's awesome. I'm always learning stuff, so sign me up.
And for sure. And one of my students, she came back to me and she says, Dan, I'm going through the section that talks about how you can actually get subject to sellers. So you're buying subject to, they're selling it to you subject to.
Right.
And you can get them to pay you money at closing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, you can do it. I know it's hard to believe, blah, blah, blah. But I promise you, and I'm trying to fill her head with like emotion and you can do it. And she says, yeah, I got a seller to pay me $7,000. And I was like, oh, you already did it. Like, yeah, people will. People absolutely will. Hey, Chavel, I appreciate the comment. No cursing, please. You mean dog poop, right? My owner finance course is dog poop.
Dog feces all over.
Dog feces all over, for sure. So, anyways, I wanted the group to kind of meet you and kind of know a little bit about your story. And I appreciate you being here. As you know, the core of the podcast is to answer the group's questions.
All right.
So I went ahead and had my virtual assistant kind of pull, some of the questions that we had during the past week. And full disclosure, guys, he doesn't know them, but man, we're gonna let him chime in, and
I'll do my best.
You're gonna do great. You're gonna do great. So, well, first we got a gentleman. His name is Quentin Flores. He wants to know.
Q, my boy.
You know Q?
I know Q.
I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
No, like I said, I'm a student of this business. I actually hired Q to coach me early on, like a couple of years back. Man, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. So he's in San Antonio. I don't know if you knew that.
I knew that, yeah.
And he's very active, obviously, in wholesaling.
Right.
But he's got a question regarding seller partials. I believe he has originated a couple of notes himself. I believe he has. So I guess he's got a little bit of questions about partials. So I'm going to kind of break down to the group essentially what selling partials are. When you originate a note, and let's just say for the sake of argument, it's a 30-year note. When you originate a note, you have something that you can sell if you'd like. You can sell the entire note. The note has value, just like the house that you own or finance has value. The note, the debt that you own can have value. Now, unlike the house, and this is what it's kind of pretty, unlike the house, you can't sell a portion of the house. You can't say, like, for example, well, let me just sell you the garage. You can rent the garage only if you want, but you can't really sell just the garage. You got to sell the whole house. Well, when it comes to notes, you basically have, if you do a 30-year amortization note, you have 360 payments. And you can choose to sell the entire note and sell all 360 payments, or you can choose to sell less payments. So for example, you can choose to sell 50 payments, 100 payments, 200 payments, 30 payments, 5 payments, I guess. That's an option. So when you do this, that's referred to as selling partials. Now, Ryan, have you sold any partials? I don't
I
want to
haven't.
Okay.
So I have a partner. He just
Neither have I.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Go
we
ahead.
fractionalize though.
What's that?
Fractionalize.
Yes.
So we sell ownership, but we don't sell the notes and partials.
Yeah. So we don't sell partials either because, and this is just my thought process, generally the reason you would want to sell partials is because there is a chunk of money that
And equity payday, exactly.
Yeah, like for example, let's say you own or finance it for $200,000, you create a note for $200,000, but you have $100,000 worth of debt. You can go ahead and sell enough payments so that the $100,000 of debt is paid off. You collect $100,000 worth of payments, and then you go ahead and pay your debt or whatever it is you're trying to do. From a seller's perspective, and I'd love to get your opinion, Ryan, as an investor, I don't really care to sell partials. I don't really see it as a buyer. There's tremendous.
Oh yeah, you can make different situations for sure.
You can definitely increase your yield tremendously, but as a seller, I'm not a big fan of selling partials. Maybe it's fear. I'll be open about it. If I sell 5 years worth of payments, it's like I lose control of an asset for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I worked for towards originating, it's being put into someone else's hands, which may or may not manage it correctly. And I have no control over it. And then my hope is that it comes back to me in a good, sound shape the way I sold it, but I don't have any control over that.
So that happened to me in a different way.
Okay.
So I don't do any wraps. And the reason why I don't do wraps is for that exact same reason. When I'm selling, I lose control. Someone else gets the deed. And in just full disclosure, sometimes you go through this business and we learn things the hard way. Sometimes we have mentors that we can lean on and they teach us, and then sometimes we have we just go through the school of hard knocks. So anyway, I found an investor of all places in Dallas, Texas, and had never done a wrap before. He's like, oh, I do tons of them. Let's go have my attorney do it. So he drafted this deed of trust and he filed it and recorded it and everything. We transferred everything. Then he stopped making payments about 4 months into it. I went to go foreclose on the guy, but because the deed of trust was originated in Texas, it was a Texas deed of trust filed in California. I couldn't find an attorney on either side. In either state that would take it on to foreclose. And it ended up going, the bank, the original lender, because there was a note on it from the mortgage company, they actually went ahead and foreclosed on it. Everybody got screwed. I lost equity. The original homeowner who I had promised that I was going to do all this stuff, it was such a horrible situation, and it drug on for like 4 years. So that's why I don't do wraps.
Wow. Okay, now for the audience, you wrapped it to an investor, correct?
I did, and that was my first mistake.
Yeah. Yes, I would never, ever, ever, ever wrap to an investor. I don't trust y'all.
Yeah,
that's the truth. Now, we do buy subject twos, and we do wrap in Texas to end user owner occupants, and I'm sure you've learned this by now, Ryan. I'm not afraid of giving them the deed. I can foreclose in 41 days if I do it right.
Yeah, we're a 6-month process, and it has to go to auction.
Oh my God! So yeah, that's where it's super important to learn if you're in if you're going to.
So I got different ways of selling that work for me, but yeah, that's why I learned the hard way.
Yeah. So I'm curious why it wasn't filed in Texas if it was a Texas deed.
Because the property is in California.
Oh yeah.
It was totally illegitimate across the board, man.
The property was in Dallas.
No, the investor was from Dallas.
Investor.
Yeah, so the investor got a Texas trust deed. I don't know, and it was recorded in California. See, we didn't go through a title company either. We went through his attorney. So his attorney did all the paperwork and everything, and supposedly title insurance, all that crap. And yeah, it didn't work out.
No. Do you feel comfortable sharing the name?
Oh, the name?
Yeah, the investor?
No, I don't want to put him on blast.
Okay.
I mean, what?
I'll hit you up on the DMs because, man, I want to know who the bad people are.
yeah. I'll let you know that. I'm not going to put someone on blast,
That's fair.
but I did have to come out of pocket to pay for the credit repair for the family. They got their life, thrown through the mud for a couple of years. It really sucked because I had no control. I mean, I did everything I possibly could to get this guy to. I gave him, I'll give you keys. I'll give you cash for keys. He's like, no, he's like, I'm not paying the mortgage, but I'm getting rent free for like. I'm like, dude, for reals.
Oh,
it was just a cash play for him, and it sucked. So yeah, I'll definitely hook you up with who he was.
Yeah. So again, for those who are listening, this is because he did it in California. That's part of the reason. California sucks. I would never do wraps in California, even to end buyers.
Yeah.
Texas, we're pretty friendly. I mean, we can work close.
I gotta say that I have a huge portfolio in California. All the properties that I've taken over subject to that I've turned around and seller finance, but I just do agreement for deed or contract for deed or bond for title, however you want to do it. That's what I do.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right, we've got Mr. Clayton. How long does it take to get paid when selling a note to PaperStack? Have you ever sold a PaperStack?
No, I do everything myself.
We've sold maybe two or three notes. They're just as fast as anyone else. But the CEO of PaperStack is going to be on the show next week.
Oh, wow.
His name is, for you guys who are taking note, Rick Allen. Rick Allen is going to be on the show, so we can ask him over there. So PaperStack, for those who aren't familiar, it's kind of like the eBay of notes. You can kind of post them, and people can kind of bid on them. We hold pretty much everything that we originate. We don't really.
Same here. I mean, that's my cash flow, man. That's where I live off of that.
Yeah. But the two notes that we sold were purchase subject to. They were sold on a wrap, and the lender was it was a small bank out of Kansas, and they called the note due.
What?
Yeah. So
after you sold them.
After no. So we sold the note to raise the capital to pay the lender.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
So we've had that bank out of Kansas was the most aggressive.
Wow.
We've had about maybe 6 deals where we get like a random $12 an hour person, give us a call. And I think they're just going through paperwork, and it's the insurance that kind of catches them off guard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going through paperwork, and we can talk our way out of it.
Right.
But yeah, it was a small bank.
I've had it happen twice to me, but they were CBDG loans or community block development grants. So these are low-income families that they get some kind of improvement and the county pays for it, and then when the deed transfers, they're supposed to pay for it. So those are the only two that ever called due on me. They're like silent seconds held by the county.
Wow, that's interesting. I guess they do keep tabs on it.
Well, yeah, what they do is they do occupancy checks every 12 months.
Oh, yeah, that's like for real. Did you know that before you bought it?
No, had no clue. And so this is back probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I still did everything in my name. And so it transferred in my name, and that's what triggered it. Of course, now everything's done in trusts. We have either land trust or specified trust for this, that if someone comes and they see the transfer on title, they're like, what's going on here? Oh, it's just estate planning purposes, we put into a trust, blah blah blah. And away they go.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we've had a couple, and actually we've had about 3 or 4 from Wells Fargo.
Interesting.
And I had I accidentally met like a high upper regional manager person, VP of something.
Yeah.
Up at Wells Fargo, and we had a conversation, and he told me straight up, he says, Wells Fargo is aware of what investors are doing, and we turn a blind eye, we don't care. He says, however, when we package our loans and we sell them off every once in a while, especially after the 08 recession, the auditing process is a lot stringent. So what will happen is the auditors of the investor buyers of the big bulk, will see, hey, the borrower is this person, the owner is this person. They're the ones who are doing the audits, and they kick them back to us. And I was like, interesting. So again, we don't really care. All we do is, we fix it, and if it doesn't get fixed, we substitute it with another.
What are they auditing exactly? Title or insurance?
Title.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because you put it into a trust, it's protected under the oh Jesus, I'm drawing a blank right now. Saint Germain Act. Yeah, Garn Saint Germain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Garn Saint Germain and Depository Act of 1982.
Yeah. We don't put them into a trust. We just put them into an LLC, and we do like 10 at a time.
See, that would trigger it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
All good. Here's the crazy thing. So I got a letter from PNC Mortgage. I mean, they're not quite as big as Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
But they're a large bank. So we did I took a property over subject to, and then I turned around and I sold it on a contract for deed. This is in South Carolina. And I got a letter from PNC Mortgage, and it was to the original borrower. And it's like, hey, we understand you sold this property, or you sold your interest in this property, and you did it on a wrap. And what happened was you forgot to name yourself as an additional insured. Being the mortgagee, you need to make sure that you have that you're the additional insured on this property. Do that, and everything's good. I was like, holy crap, this is my golden ticket, man.
Wow. So they gave you the out right away.
Yeah, they told me exactly, like, hey, we know you did this. Just make sure you're an additional insured on the policy, and bam, we're gone. We don't care.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I mean, it's so I, it's, and we can have a long debate over this. By what I have learned, by what I have seen, by the people I've talked to, by our own experiences, I do believe that notes will be called at some point. Right now, it's not advantageous. Right now, it's not the time. It makes no sense. Interest rates are low. But I do believe that a time will come. Well, let me rephrase it. If the time comes when interest rates go up to 6, 7, 8%, then it'll be advantageous for banks to go ahead and do it. But anyways, it's not something I'm terribly concerned about.
No, not me either.
Yeah. Moving along, Clayton. Besides finding another buyer and keeping earnest, what is the recourse when buyer backs out 10 minutes before closing? You're poop out of luck. So, I mean, if you really want to go down the dirty route, you can sue for performance. That's the term for it. And you can force the buyer to perform. I can't imagine that'll be advantageous to you.
Liquidated damages. I mean,
yeah. It doesn't make sense. So
you just gotta know you have a buyer that sucks, and don't contact them again.
Yeah, for sure. But this is one of the reasons why you do want to do high earnests. I mean, when we're selling to an end user, we if they come with an agent, many times they do, high option, high earnest. I mean, usually our earnest money is their entire down payment, and that puts a pretty. I like to use the phrase, I take all their money so they can't be shopping anymore.
There you go. Yeah.
So they can't be shopping anymore. So it's kind of it.
Was there a reason the guy backed out? I'm just curious on that one real quick. He
didn't say. Yeah, I don't know.
Always go back and renegotiate. Hey, what was the because something had to cause this guy to bail. Unless he was trying to daisy chain you anyway, and he was never a real player to begin with. That's you got to learn how to vet your buyers better.
Yeah, and I don't know if Clayton was talking about a wholesale buyer or if he was talking about a retail buyer or an owner finance buyer.
Right.
But in general, there isn't a whole lot of recourse. Just you gotta set yourself up for success from the beginning.
Yep.
By asking high earnest, or at least reasonably high earnest.
I also what I do too is on my I just sold the property Monday here, so it was Thursday. He came into my office but I used to be the guy that'd be showing the house like 40, 50 times before I find something that actually would take it. I don't even do that anymore. I screen them. I say, give me your application. If you have an application that flies, then we'll actually show you the property. Until then, I'm not dealing with you because there's too many tire kickers out there right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a challenging situation.
Right.
Joe wants to know, so he had some questions regarding our owner finance program. Do we lend all over Texas? Yes, we do, in San Antonio, Austin, DFW, and Houston. And the metro areas, what terms do you ask for from the buyer other than 20% down? Does that include closing costs? So we don't advertise 20% down. It's 20% total initial investment. And the reason it's total initial investment because that includes the closing costs. So it's down payment, closing costs, appraisals, prepaids, attorney's fees,
everything.
Earnest money, option money, notary stamps.
I love your program. I think you have the most creative program that I've seen out there.
Really?
Yeah, I've admired you from a distance on that, man. I'm like, damn, that's such a great idea. I wish I could find, someone I could put the right pieces together in my market to do the exact same thing because we make a killing.
Self-directed IRAs, bro.
No, for sure.
It really is. I mean, that's where we get, almost all of our funding. He wants to know on the program, do you require appraisal? Hell yeah, we require appraisal. You better believe it. So good questions. Junior Campos wants to know where to start. And I found this an interesting question because that is such a broad question. And I'm gonna take an approach, Ryan, and I don't know if this is gonna be your similar approach, but to me, the starting point has nothing to do with real estate. To me, the starting point is, where do you want to be in 12 months? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? You need to get your mindset straight when it comes to where to start. I had a mentor of mine kind of share with me something special. I asked him, well, how do you do this? I don't even remember what it was. And he says, before you ask the how, you have to ask yourself if you are currently the person that is necessary for you to be able to execute that. And I don't know how you feel, Ryan. I have a good feeling I know how you feel because you're successful in your field, but getting your mindset right, getting your habits right, getting your reading right, transforming yourself into the person that is necessary to become in order for you to achieve those things, that's where you need to start. And with all due respect, Junior, if you're asking where to start, you might not be there yet. Because the person, once you become the person, then you realize it's all about creating massive imperfect actions. Massive imperfect actions. Look what Ryan did. He traveled across the country. He's like, screw it, let me go to Georgia. Let me take massive imperfect. The first deal I did, so you're gonna laugh, Ryan. The first deal I did, we show up at so it sounds really great. Oh, I made $80,000.
Right.
And, $400 monthly spread, blah, 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 blah. We show up at the attorney's office and he's like, hey, okay, everything is good. So what's the interest rate you're charging? I'm like, I don't know. What's that? And he's like, well, what's the interest rate that you're charging? I'm like, oh, I don't know. What do you think's good? He's like,
$400 a month. That's all I want.
And he's like, no. Like, didn't y'all talk about the interest rate? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, did y'all talk about a payment? Oh, yeah. We talked about a payment. Okay, so what's the payment? And I said, X amount of money per month. How'd you come up with that amount? And I'm like, it's $400 more than what I'm paying. And he's like, okay, I mean, that's strategy, whatever, it works. He's like, so y'all didn't talk about interest rate? And I said, no. He didn't ask? No. You didn't tell? No. And he's like, okay, well, let's reverse engineer it. Let's figure out, what the interest, because we do have a payment, so let's go ahead and take the taxes and the insurance and, let's figure out what principal and interest payment is, and then we'll just do the reverse math because we have the loan amount, we have the 30 years, we have the amortization. And after he did the math for me, so embarrassing, Ryan. He did the math for me.
That's a good story, man. He's like, I'm getting paid no matter what. We're going to fix this problem.
I think so. I'm losing it. And he says, so it looks like it comes out to 6.1%. I was like, okay. Well, little did I know that 6.1% on a mobile home deal on land is not a very good interest rate.
It's a horrible interest rate.
I'm married to that note, bro. I can't sell it.
No one wants to buy it.
Keep the boxes. I am married to it for life.
but you got $400 coming in every month. And then if they default, then you got something new coming in, man.
Oh no, they like pay early every
Of
month.
course they do.
With $100,000 down payment, you better believe that they do.
Oh man.
So you know it. So that's what I was saying. Massive imperfect action. It was a great deal. Anybody who looks at it, it's like, oh man, that was an awesome deal. Well, yeah, but it was massive imperfect action. You should not be owner financing mobile homes for anything under 2 digits.
No, dude.
You know, as a rule of thumb. So
Yeah.
that's where you want to start. Now, if you want to know specifically where you start when it comes to, I don't know where you are on your path. I don't know how familiar you are with real estate investing. Definitely hang around here. Join every Monday at 5 p.m. We're here for live Q&A. Ryan has a group as well, which we're going to talk about afterwards. Go to YouTube. You know, YouTube University is great. If you're wanting to spend a little bit of money on training, I do have an awesome training. You can ask the group. It's 10 hours. It's less than $300. Price is probably going to go up, but it's 10 hours of massive value when it comes to owner financing and seller financing. But bottom line, you just have to start somewhere. And I don't know how you feel, Ryan, but I think you just have to start.
You know, I agree with you. However, I have a different approach. So, I mean, if Joe, if you're like, hey, I got a job, I'm stable, I'm secure, and all this stuff, then yeah, he's absolutely right. You need the mindset first, because that's going to make you the most money in this business. But if you're living like hand to mouth, where you're just struggling, like when I came, here's what happened. I never shared the rest of the story. So I'm out in Georgia. I buy my first property. I get $20,000. I wholesale another one, and then I pick up 3 more properties subject to. And then at this time, my relationship with my mentor, we're kind of it's run its course. And so we're like, well, we don't have enough cash flow coming in yet. We have some down payments, but we don't have enough cash flow to sustain our monthly nut out here. Let's go back to California. So we actually go back to California, not knowing exactly where we're going to, land, but we're like, oh, we'll go buy a place. We have some cash and all this stuff. And I get out to California and never had this problem before. I couldn't find someone that would rent to me because I didn't have a job. I have cash flow, but I didn't have a job. So we found a guy that loaned to me, or we paid him several months in advance, and he was a mom and pop landlord. So we moved in there, and we were renting, and I'm like, crap, I got to find some job. I got to find some houses here, and so this was my mentality. So I can relate to this experience. If this is where you're at, Joe, is if you're starting and you're just like, man, I just need some deals like now. I started driving for dollars, looking for the nastiest houses in the neighborhood. But I can tell you what, you can find a bunch of vacant properties that people have been let sit vacant for 18, 25 years, and they'll let them sit for another 18 or 25 years before they sell. They have no motivation to sell. And just because you find a property, because everyone says, oh, we're after vacant properties. Just because you find a property that looks like it's run down, that they should sell to you, it doesn't always work like that. And so what I got smart at, and this goes back to Dan's comment about getting smart in the brain. So me, I was frantic. I was like a rat on a hamster wheel, just running around, just trying to find every little opportunity I could. And then I started to think about this. I'm like, you know what? I'm losing a battle here. I'm going after someone who has no motivation to sell. Why don't I go after someone who has a motivation to sell, where they've already lost the battle? And those are pre-foreclosures or tax defaults. Guys that already have their backs against the wall, and if they don't do anything, they're going to lose that property anyway. So they're already lost. Their battle's already taken away from them. So I started looking for that. And then what I started to do was, and I think, Dan, I don't know if you do this or not, but list stacking. I started to stack my lists. Pre-foreclosures, vacants, code enforcement, all this stuff. And I'm like picking out, like cherry picking.
Owners. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's when you get like your brain like wraps around, okay, who's gonna fall, who's gonna come over my side of the line with the least amount of resistance. A guy that inherited a property that doesn't care what happens to it, or someone who's like, crap, I'm losing my whole entire life right now. How can you help me? And that's where I could start if I was starting all over again from scratch. Have the proper mindset, of course, but be able to just go and just have, leverage your time and your energy to have everything fall in your favor, because you're doing the least amount of work for the most amount of profit.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes down to the physical, you need to find the deals. You need to find the deals. You want to know what's one of our little secrets to finding the owners of vacant houses?
Yeah.
We'll put a bandit sign in the property.
Yep.
and the bandit sign will say house for sale.
Yep.
And it'll have a phone number. And I promise you, within like a day or two, the owner will start calling. Why the hell are you selling my house? Blah 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 blah. And we're real cool, you know. We'll be like I'm sorry. What address are you talking about? There must have been some mistake. Blah blah blah. Oh, 123 Main Street. I'm sorry. Can you send me a picture of this? I don't think we're trying to sell your house. It just says house for sale. Now that we have you on the line, that's like the best skip tracing ever. I mean,
so we have no problem finding them, but I have done that before, and it was actually the neighbor who called me. He's like, "Son, you can't sell something you don't own, so here's their phone number. I'm sick and tired of looking at that piece of crap anyway." So that's how I got the guy's information.
Yeah, it works out. It works out. For sure. Andres, he's got several questions that have to do with hypothecation. Hypothecation, for those who are not familiar, it's when you own or finance, you no longer, at least in Texas, when you actually put the house in their name, you no longer own the house. However, you own a piece of paper. It's a deed of trust. And that piece of, and a promissory note. That piece of paper, the promissory note, has value.
Yeah.
And you can get a loan against it. So you got a couple questions. First one is, by the way, he's one of the students. He took the owner finance training. The 10-hour
fancy words for mortgage.
Yeah.
You tell he's your student, he's smart.
For sure. It says, if, for example, you have a $100,000 note and you hypothecate the note, how much cash would you expect to receive for the hypothecation? So it depends. I don't know what the value of the asset is, but for the sake of argument, let's pretend that the value that the note is 80% of the value of the property. So again, they put a 20% down payment. Let's say you owner financed it for $120,000. They put $20,000 down. They now have, in your example, a $100,000 note. When you pledge that note as collateral, if you do it with a private lender, if you do it with an individual, if you do it with an investor, it's whatever y'all can negotiate. Most banks will lend you 80% of the unpaid principal balance. So in this example, if you build a relationship with a small community bank, most will be okay lending you up to 80% of the unpaid principal balance on this. So in this example, you're going to get a loan for about $80,000. Y'all do any hypothecation? Yeah. Do y'all do it with banks or private lenders?
Private lenders. I got a buddy of mine, he cross collateralizes a lot, and so he'll do that with banks. So he won't do one, but he'll do a whole slew of 14 or 15.
Yeah. We've got a relationship with a couple of banks, but they require, I think, $5 million right now at a time or more. So obviously we usually only do it once a year, maybe.
Right. There you go.
I wish I could find a small community bank that will let you take one note, one note at a time.
I thought I had that relationship, and then the bank merged. I'm like, what the heck? Because we only deal with community banks here. It's just, we get better terms and service and stuff like that. And plus, when you have so many mortgages, they have I'm sure you cover this in your course, but here's a nugget for people. Having a relationship with a bank, a community bank, and you get all of these mortgage refund checks in different people's names and stuff like that, being able to slip those into your account, or that's a golden relationship right there.
It is absolutely golden. And yeah, it is.
It'll cost you tens of thousands of dollars annually in lost money, lost revenue.
Yeah, not being able to deposit those insurance checks. For sure.
Yeah, escrowages, anything, Yeah.
Second question having to do with hypothecation. If you receive cash for the above hypothecation and you use the money to purchase another property to create, say, another $100,000 note, can you then rehypothecate that note as well and keep doing this over and over to build a portfolio? The answer is kind of. So you got to remember what's going to be happening here on this. When you get that loan, so first of all, you're not getting cash, you're getting a loan. So when you get that loan, the original note is pledged as collateral over here. So you cannot take that note, this note, and go get another loan. So if that's what you meant, you can't really do that.
No.
But once you get this note, once you get this cash, this $80,000 that you owe money on, you can go buy an $80,000 home. And you can go ahead and create a note on it. You can collect a down payment, originate it, and then take that new note to the bank again and get a loan against it. So just kind of keep in mind, you can't hypothecate the same note several times. That's probably money laundering.
Did you ever read this book?
Oh, no, I have seen it.
By Ed Beckley?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Amazon run out of it once, and I just never got around to looking for it.
He talks about doing that, dude.
Really?
He does. Where is it at? Yeah, it's right here. It's called the Bank Round Robin.
The Bank Round Robin. I like it.
All you're doing is going from bank to bank to bank. So you're not doing it in the same bank, and you're just getting this huge portfolio. But you just gotta make sure that as you're for lack of a better term, robbing Peter to pay Paul, that you pay all those payments, or else it's a domino that's just going to come crashing down. Yeah, I had read about that probably about. I haven't been in this book for a good month now, but it's probably last month around Christmas time. I was looking at some light Christmas reading.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, you can't be taking the same note to a bunch of banks. Don't do that.
No, you cannot do that. That's illegal. That's fraud.
That is.
You can take your new notes to your new note to your new bank. Yeah.
But you can. You go ahead and take some money, owner finance it, create a note, go ahead and get a loan against that note. You're going to get another loan over here. Go ahead and buy another asset, create a note. You take that note, you go ahead. But you're going to run out of money because you've got to remember each note, they're only going to be lending you at about 75-80% LTV.
Yeah.
So, the money does
it's self-diminishing.
Does kind of dry out at some point. Private lender question from Andres. If I borrow $100,000 from a private lender to purchase a property and then resell it for $150,000 on owner finance, first of all, congratulations. I love those numbers. Will the lender remain in first position for the $100,000 and I would be in second position for the other $50,000 as a wrap? Yes, kind of. Sort of. So yes, the lender remains.
Debt and ownership are two different things.
Yeah. It's so kind of. Now you didn't talk about interest rate, so I'm going to kind of plug that in. Let's say that you borrowed $100,000 at 8%. When you owner finance at $150,000, you're collecting interest not just on your $50,000. But you also have a 2% spread of the first $100,000.
If he does it at 10.
If you did it at 10, yeah, using the example. He borrowed at 8 and he owner financed everything at 10. So the private lender is going to carry a first lien position on the first 100,000. That's correct. Technically, your wrap is going to be for the other 50. That is also correct. But you are going to be collecting interest 10% on your 50, but also 2% on the first 100,000. That's pretty much what we do, Ryan. When we fund owner finance transactions, we're borrowing right now at about 6 3/4, 7, and we owner finance at 9. So our spread. I mean, it sounds pretty impressive to say, oh my God, you borrowed $15 million.
No, just finding private money at 6 3/4 is that's awesome right now these days, dude. Because our private money, we're between 8 and 10%. We're very expensive private money.
So, most of our private money folks, we introduced them to the concept of private money.
There you go. And that's what I'm attempting to do right now.
Yeah. So before COVID,
I introduced a lady to it, and we got 6%. And I was like, "Oh, this is a gravy train." She came back to me 6 months into it. She's like, "I just found out I should have charged you points, and I should probably at least ask for 10%." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh.
Yeah. Because she was also she had a lot of money. She had a lump sum settlement, and she was shopping it around, trying to get opportunities for it. And some other investors like, "Oh, that's what you should be charging," but he never borrowed it from her. So I was like, "You screwed everyone, man."
I mean, that's the version of sellers telling you, I got all these offers. It's like, well, is any of them writing you a check?
Exactly, yeah. So we wrote that out for 12 months, and at the end, she wouldn't renew. She's like, nah.
Oh, it was a short-term one.
Yeah, 12 months.
Yeah.
We used it to fund rehab. Yeah, we're just funding rehab with it. So she was actually in second position at 6%.
Oh, gotcha. So most of our, no, not most, all pretty much of our lenders, we introduced them to the concept before COVID in 2019, became pretty active in doing booths at medical conferences. And we got a ton of contact information of doctors, pharmacists, surgeons. And basically, these were individuals between 45 and 65 that already had, $500,000, 3/4, 1 million plus in their retirement accounts. And they weren't necessarily looking for a better return. They were looking for stability on their return.
Yeah.
Now that they were approaching their retirement years. So our pitch was never make more money. Our pitch was always stabilize your return and make it predictable with collateralized real estate. So we already knew that they were making 5-6%. Yeah, I can't wait for COVID to be over. I miss those medical convention booths that we would do.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, man. My brother's a dentist, and all of his dentist friends were like, "Hey, man, take my money, take my money." I didn't even think about it. Yeah. They have so much money, dude. It's ridiculous.
And like I said, most of them, again, our experiences, they're not necessarily looking for more return. They're just looking for stability.
Yeah.
So hope that answered your question. Andres, he's got another question. In the above example, would I be able to hypothecate the $50,000 note in second position? My brother, if you can hypothecate that, I will kiss your feet. So the answer is, would you be able to? I don't know, bro. That'd be pretty outstanding. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that probably not. But again, when it's the world of what can I do, I don't know. Can you do it? Let me watch you do it. I don't see this being feasible. Thoughts, Ryan?
I love the creativity, thinking outside the box there, but I don't know.
That's kind of my thought process on this. If you wanted, so when you hypothecate, it's because you want a lump sum of cash. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Well, if you're talking about hypothecating the second lien position note, that means you're going to be hypothecating the other $50,000. Why didn't you just
put a haircut on it, man? It'd be such a huge, depreciate. You're going to depreciate that note by so much. Is it even worth it?
Yeah. I would just go ahead and from the get-go, go ahead and try to get a loan on both. You can't. No one's going to lend on a second lien position note. I don't think. I mean,
and unless you hypothecate at 20% or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if they're going to lend you like $5,000, I mean, I mean, I guess there's value to that, but I mean,
yeah.
I imagine you're not looking for a $5,000
payday.
Payday for sure. Third question, would a private lender lend on these hypothecations? Yes. You see Ryan doing it. We do it all the time as well. We look for individuals. So for example, if we have a note that's, at 8% and we come across, we introduce a new private lender, self-directed IRA, he's looking for 7%, we'll go ahead and do it right away.
Oh, all day long, man, yeah. Your yield on that just went up.
Yeah, you just increased it by 1%, and
yeah,
all of a sudden you're good to go. And then the advantage is that you can go back to the first 8% guy and be like, hey, we're going to return your money, or I can borrow at 6%.
I can enroll you. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing that someone's do to us. I got another offer over here. It's just, I'm gonna take that. Yeah.
The difference is that it's mine legit. I will either wire you your money, or I can use it again.
No, because if he calls your bluff and yanks your cash out from underneath you, then you're screwed because you don't have anything to fall back on. So yeah, you have to be honest with these people.
No, for sure. Man, great questions, Andres. Definitely like them. Andrew, he wants recommendations for escrow services in the group. We've got Home Key Services. Sohail, well, first of all, you absolutely want to use them. Always use a third-party note servicing company. So hit up Sohail if you haven't already. A few other popular ones are August REI, Evergreen, which I don't recommend, and we've used SecureNet in the past. Communication's horrible, but they do their job.
See, I do everything myself. All my guys, all my individuals, they do direct deposit into my checking account.
You can do that. So how do you handle escrows, like taxes and insurance?
So that's a good question. So you do things a little bit differently. I'm buying property subject to, so I'm taking over existing mortgages that already have escrows involved. And so what we do is whatever that escrow payment is, we just pass it on to our buyer.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. What about 1099s at the end of the year? I don't know how contract for deeds work.
So yeah, it's an installment sale. So we actually give them their we don't give them 1099s, we give them a 1098 or the equivalent of that. Yeah, the mortgage interest. So I have a spreadsheet that I use.
Okay.
It's really simple. I created it myself out of numbers on my MacBook, and so yeah, whatever, man. I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials, and that was what I did. Here's a crazy thing, though. I have, and I'm sure you run into this as well. So yo hablo español.
Yo hablo español también.
Okay, bien. So I lived, out of the country for a few years and picked up Spanish, and I do a lot of Spanish speaking transactions. Well, believe it or not, some of them aren't here. Legally, they don't have the paperwork or documentation to be here. Fantastic! I love you. You know what? You pay in cash, and I'll sell you a house. So at the end of the year, they don't do their taxes either. So they're just like, I don't send me that information. So I got a handful, and I don't even do anymore because they don't want them.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah. 65-ish% of our clients are ITIN only. But my experience with our buyers is that more or less they are wanting to be on the path of citizenship. So a lot of people don't know this. The US actually spends a ton of PR money in Mexico and I imagine other Latin American countries, where they tell them you have to pay your taxes if you ever want to become a citizen. And that is pure PR. That is pure marketing.
Oh man,
advertisement. But they take out like whole pages in some of the country's biggest newspapers and magazines. And any Mexican that crosses the border that has any hope of ever, they're like the most super honest. I want to pay every possible tax because one day this might come back and bite me in the butt. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna dissuade you.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
That's funny, man.
Thomas got a question. So he bought a lot. So he bought a 5-lot package, 5 individual lots, residential. He'd like to figure out if it's best to sell the entire package or build on the lots or sell each lot individually to developers, builders, or someone building their dream home. The answer is, bro, I don't know. I don't know where you're at. If you're a builder, I would definitely, you probably got it at a discount. So I would build on maybe 1 or 2 for sure to kind of see how it goes. The least amount of money is going to be made if you sell it as a package. That's for sure.
You buy a discount on a package, but you sell individual.
Yeah. The old saying, what is it? You buy land by the acre and you sell it by the lot.
Right.
You buy alcohol by the bottle and you sell it by the shot.
The drop or shot, yeah.
So at the very least, I will sell them individually. But if it's so, you're asking if you would build on them. I would build on at least 1. I know this one builder. So I don't know, Thomas, where you're at, but if you're in San Antonio, I can hook you up with this one builder, and he will only super smart guy, Ryan. So he only buys wherever he can buy 3 or more lots in like 1 or 2 blocks.
Gotcha.
That's like his and he's a builder. So check it out. And I don't know if this is legal or not.
I'm putting it out there for all you guys listening.
So he'll build the first house, top of the line. I mean, he pushes those comps as much as he can. But basically, he builds his own comps because he'll build the first house and he sells it for cash to another entity, which he probably owns. But it creates.
It records the transfer.
It records the transfer and it records the sale. And that becomes the comp for the other properties that he.
It's the same thing builders do in large subdivisions. They have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and they just, they build the momentum off each other. He's just doing it on a smaller scale.
Yeah, but developers sell them to individual
people. I get it. Yeah, no, he's selling. He's selling to a shell company, basically to straw buyers. So I don't know.
I think he might be.
Oh, we got straw buyers over here, man. They're all bad. They're all good. Yeah.
I talked to him once, and he says that he just sells them to another entity, and he rents them, as a rental. But the sale gets recorded. He says, and I don't try to make. Yeah, he says I don't try to make new comps. Rather, I just push what I already know is the top of the comps. And I'm like,
for what reason? For what purpose? What's the motive behind it? You know what I'm saying? What's the intent?
For sure. So, Jim Davis, what is the process of offering cash for keys? You offer cash in exchange for keys. So I reached out to him. What he wants to know is what's the process if somebody is willing to work with you to avoid a foreclosure on a property that you've owner financed.
Oh, that's completely different than what I had in mind.
Oh, what did you have in mind?
My cash for key situations in the past have been people that have been either we bought the property and they're holdover tenants, or they were in their path to home ownership with me, and one way or another they just stopped making payments and we had to get them out.
So that I think that's what he was referring to. When someone is
already on the asset. I own the asset already, though. I thought when he said he had a foreclosure situation where you're trying to give the seller some cash to move on.
No. When you owner finance it and they stop paying, and instead through the whole foreclosure process, they're willing to work for you. You got to
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, just get your attorney involved. In Texas, it's called a deed in lieu of foreclosure. I don't know if in California or other states it's any different.
Same thing. Yeah, yours is like a 21-day process. It's like super fast.
Yeah, it is pretty fast. Are you jealous? I'd be jealous.
I'm like salivating over here, man.
Yeah, you can foreclose in 41 days pretty quickly. As a matter of fact,
God bless Texas.
Someone asked earlier, I think it was Manuel. He says, when you say you can foreclose in 41 days, you actually get possession of the property in 41, or that's when you get the order? And the answer is, so full disclosure, it's really hard to actually hit your 41 days because they have to align, and foreclosures in Texas are only the first Tuesday of every month. So
that's right. That's right.
That's assuming you got, all your stars, lined up. In reality, we've probably done maybe less than 8 foreclosures. And from the moment we actually decided to begin the foreclosure process, it's about 60 to 70 days. And I say began because unfortunately, you're trying to work with people. So
exactly right, yeah.
You usually get behind a few months, and they'll make a few payments, and then, they'll send half a check, and then,
you're trying to exhaust all options and exhaust their resources as much too. I mean, you want them you have the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, if they have money that you don't have to come out of pocket for, you're going to take it.
Yeah, for sure. Javel's got a question regarding the 10-hour owner finance training. The question is, it's a long one, so I didn't put it up there. It says, while studying the owner finance course, I came across this formula. I wanted to know or make sure what the 28 stands for. So the formula was this. In the owner finance course, one of the things that I talk about is how to get the seller to contribute money or to pay you money when you buy it subject to. Okay. And that's got to do with first of all, doing the math, what I call it doing the math. And that's showing them a clear picture of how much money they are likely to spend if they want to go the retail way and purchase, and sell the property.
Yeah, we do basically the cost to sell worksheet, what we call it.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is for you. For me, Ryan, it's the mortgage payment plus the utilities.
Okay.
Divide that by 28 days and multiply that by the average days on market in that community. So for example, if the mortgage payment is $1,850, if the average utilities per month is $450, and the average days on market are 90 days, that's going to be a total of $7,400 that they're going to be paying to hold the property. And then if you want to go ahead and divide that by 90 days, that means each day is going to cost them about $82. So that's what the 28 meant on on that, Mr. Chevelle. I think that kind of covers the questions we had for today. We had some really good questions. I'm so proud of this group. I'm going to brag on them. You know, I can tell that they're actually, you know, making their offers,
Right.
talking about term options with sellers, and they really are closing, you know, seller finance transactions. So
Congratulations. That's a good reflection on you and what you've done to build that.
you know, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you guys who are listening to the group, Ryan, I want you guys to focus on him for a little bit because he is somebody that brings value, not just to us, to me personally, but this is where I want you to pitch away your $50,000 course, if you could, Ryan.
No, I don't want to take any money out of your pocket. But one thing I will let people know about, you looking for my book?
I am!
I was looking for it on your shelf too. I was eyeballing it and I'm like, how come it's not up there? You're at least going to tease me and like put it up there just for a moment and taking it back down if it wasn't your favorite.
You know what?
Oh, there it is. What a beautiful book.
So go ahead, plug away.
You know, so I created something a while back when I first got started. It's kind of like a mentor in your pocket. And basically what it is it's the real estate flashcards, you know? And so basically what they talk about is we have, you know, there's diamonds and there's clubs and there's hearts and there's spades. And so basically it's broken down into 4 different categories. Talking to sellers to get them to open up and share with you their problems because as you know, subject to or seller finance transactions aren't found, they're created. And so you have to know what their motivation is in order to create that situation for yourself. So we talk about what are some common phrases that we use and to get them to open up. So talking to sellers. Then you got to sell it to the buyer. And so some of the stuff that we use to sell to buyers. And then I go over is real estate math, probably nowhere near what you're doing. It's, you know, not even close to being as exhaustive. But then again, some creative ways to finding these properties. This is something that I put together. I've had a lot of success in myself over the years that I just basically dial it down into these flashcards. There's 52 of them. It's a regular standard deck of cards. So if you wanted to just play poker for anything, you could.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So it's a huge, you know, playing deck of cards that we've done over the year that I've, you know, put together here.
Where can they buy it?
They can buy it at bootstraprei.com/flashcards. If you're going to do it this week, because I recently on my Bootstrap page, I realized that I was selling these for too cheap. I was selling them for $15 plus $5 shipping. And I've had people over the years like, you're stupid, this is retarded. So we've upped it right now. We're going to start selling them for, I think we agreed on internally as a price of $35. Okay. I could be wrong, but they are definitely going up. So if you want to get them, get them. But they're literally, you know, I tell people that you're just one deal away from changing your entire financial future. And practicing these, just reviewing them, just like, you know, 5 minutes a day, just going through the cards, looking at them. And there's an example on each card. So it's not just a phrase, it's the example of how and when to use it. They're so powerful. You practice that, you're going to just be smoother than Dan and myself. We're going to be amazed at your abilities.
For sure. Nice. Is your book still available on Amazon?
Definitely. Yeah, all 3 of them are.
You got 3, homeboy? How come you haven't told me?
I thought you knew. So my first one is Why You Can't Sell Your House. This was just a credibility builder. When I got out there, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, buy my book. You know, I hand out the sellers. But these are the 2 main ones that I use. You know, Dan just showed you, I'm like left, right here. Dan just showed you this one, Defending Yourself Against Foreclosure. Use this all the time when I talk to people in pre-foreclosure or tax default. And then like anyone else, they're going to have trouble selling their house because they're trying to do it themselves, like FSBOs. I love this book. It's Trouble Selling Your House, 7 House Selling Strategies to Get Your House Sold Fast. And guess what that fastest one is?
Sell to me now.
Seller financing. The fastest way to sell a house is seller financing.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's an educational. It's my credibility kit, all in one place. Plus, they're not going to throw away. People don't throw books away. They throw cards away, but they don't throw books away. And I can't tell you how many deals that I've actually picked up by leaving a book, having them read it, or even skim it, and realize, crap, there's a lot that I don't know. I'm going to call Ryan back. And you talk about, Steve Trang talks about the scorched earth philosophy, that if you can't get the deal, you want to make sure that your competition can't get it either. This is one of the ways to do that. Dropping off a book and then say, hey, you know what? There's a lot of competition out there. If they haven't written a book, they're probably not the real deal. They don't know what they're doing. They're probably flying by the seat of their pants. And so they always ask them, well, have you written a book? Oh, you haven't. Okay. So in the back of their mind, they're just like, I got to call Ryan back. So it's just, these subtle things.
Well, now I feel like a cockroach because I haven't written a book.
But you can use my book. You can leverage the one that you have there. So
I do often. I'm going to let you know.
Dude, that's what it's there for. It's for you to go out there and just, hey, this is going to help you because now you're a resource. You can say, hey, I got this great resource for you. It's going to help you close deals, or not help you close deals, but help them, avoid the foreclosure. Yeah. And of course, at the end, what does it say? Hey, if you've exhausted all these options, which usually they have, call me. I will buy you out of the situation. Because honestly, at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're buying problems and selling solutions. That's what it comes down to.
We are buying problems and selling solutions. A little while ago, you said, let me buy you out of that problem.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Man, I learned. The whole reason you're here is to teach me that phrase. I will buy you out of your problem.
That's what it's all about.
I like it.
Hey, you're welcome. My pleasure.
I like it. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure being with you guys again. Thank you so much for letting us share with you. I hope you guys got tremendous value. Again, if you like what you hear, please, your wholesalers, your people in your markets who are familiar with real estate investing, flippers, rehabbers. This group is meant to help you actually buy real estate with seller financing. Shameless plug, if anyone is interested in the 10-hour course, it is going to go up in price. I don't know to what price.
I'll buy it.
It is going to go up in price. What's that?
I said I'll buy it. I love learning from you, Dan.
Oh, no. I won't.
Send me the link and
I'll trade you. I'll trade you.
What do you want?
The flashcards.
You got it.
Done.
I'll give you the flashcard and the 3-hour companion with all of the going through each one and giving you all references and ideas between each one.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So, guys, hit up Ryan if you guys liked him. He's got a Facebook group as well, and hit him up on his page. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to see you guys do deals. I want to see you guys post questions. This is a free group. It'll always be free. If God allows, I'm going to be here every Monday, 5 o'clock for you guys. But please share this with people around you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ryan. Hope you guys have a great one. Take care. We'll see y'all next week.
I'll share it with my group too.
What's that?
Send me the link and I'll share it with my group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. All right. Take care, buddy. We'll see y'all.
All right. See you, man.